Ever get that feeling that you and your friends just don't watch the same shows anymore? Or, when you check the price of a flight, look away for a second, and when you look back, it's changed? Well, the answer to both might actually be the same thing. Today, we're diving into the hidden world of algorithms and how they're basically setting the price of, well, everything.
Does this sound familiar? I bet it does. It's just a quote from a Reddit thread, but man, it really captures a feeling so many of us have. That sense that we're all off in our own little bubbles, watching, reading, listening to totally different things. It feels like those cultural touchstones that used to bring everyone together are just kind of fading away.
So, if that shared culture is gone, what took its place? And what in the world does that have to do with the price of a plane ticket or even a poem? That's the rabbit hole we're going down today.
Okay, let's start with something we've kind of lost. The water cooler moment. It was never really about the water. It was this cultural hub, this place you could go to work the next day and know that everyone was going to be talking about the big finale last night because pretty much everyone watched it.
Just look at this. On one side, you've got must-see TV, a tiny handful of shows that basically defined a generation. On the other side, you've got the streaming maze we're all lost in now. We basically traded this one big meal that everyone shared for an endless, personalized buffet. And yeah, the choice is incredible, but it also kind of feels like we're all eating alone.
100 million. That's how many people tuned in for the MASH finale at the same time, together. I mean, can you even imagine that happening today for anything other than, I don't know, the Super Bowl? It's like we traded this one giant roaring bonfire for millions and millions of tiny little candles.
All right, so our entertainment is personalized. We get it. But here's the turn. The exact same logic, the same kind of algorithm that learns your taste in TV shows, is also learning your shopping habits. And it's using that to decide the exact price that you see. And this is what it's called algorithmic pricing. It's when companies use software to change prices constantly, on the fly, not just for the market, but for you. It's not just about supply and demand anymore, it's about what your personal data says about you and what the machine thinks you're willing to pay. And here's where it gets really weird, kind of backwards even. You'd think being a loyal customer would get you a better deal, right? Well, not always. Algorithms can flag you as a locked-in customer, someone who's probably not going to bother switching. So while some new person is getting a sweet discount to sign up, your price might be slowly, quietly, creeping up. Your loyalty literally becomes a data point they can use against you. But it's not just about you and a single company. This whole thing gets so much bigger when all these different pricing algorithms start, well, talking to each other, or at least watching each other. And it creates this kind of ghost in the machine. So check this out. It's called the hub and spoke model. Just imagine a bunch of companies that are supposed to be competitors, all using the same pricing software. Each one, a spoke, feeds its data into the central hub. The algorithm looks at all of it and basically figures out, hey, if none of us drop our prices, we all make more money. And just like that, you've got what's called tacit collusion. It looks and smells like a price-fixing cartel, but no people ever had to sit in a smoky room and make an illegal deal. The machines just figured it out.
And if you think this is just some wild theory, it's not. There's a huge lawsuit happening in the US that alleges this exact thing. Landlords all over the country were using software from a company called RealPage, and the suit claims that this software analyzed all the market data and then suggested that all its clients raise their rents, effectively coordinating price hikes across entire cities.
So far, we've seen algorithms price our attention and our products. But what if this logic goes even deeper? What if the whole system isn't just pricing things, but the very words we use to talk about them? This brings us to this mind-bending concept from a researcher named Pip Thornton. She calls it linguistic capitalism. The basic idea is that online, our language gets stripped of all its human meaning and just becomes data. Every word, every phrase we type gets fed into a system that treats it like a commodity on the stock market, something to be bought and sold. So what does that look like in the real world? Well, look at this. This is an online dictionary, a source we're all supposed to trust, right? And it used a rabid feminist as its example sentence for the word rabid. Now, the dictionary's algorithm didn't understand the bias there. It just scanned billions of words on the internet and saw that those words appeared together a lot. The machine learns our biases, and then it reflects them back to us as if they're objective facts.
I mean, it's a pretty shocking example, but it really makes you wonder, right? How does a word even get a price? What's the engine that's turning our language into a marketplace?
Well, for a huge chunk of the internet, this is the answer. Google AdWords. It's basically a giant auction house where companies are constantly bidding on keywords. The more commercial value a word has, the more it costs. This is the beating heart of linguistic capitalism, and it is always, always on, calculating the price of our language.
So if every word has a price, what happens when we take this logic and apply it to something that's supposed to be priceless? What happens when art goes head-to-head with the algorithm?
I mean, that's a pretty deep question. We think about a poem's value in terms of beauty, emotion, culture, right? But an algorithm sees something very, very different. And here's the algorithm's answer. What you're looking at is a piece of art by Pip Thornton. It's a receipt for a poem. Her project took William Wordsworth's famous poem, I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud, and fed it, word by word, into the AdWords system to see what each one was worth. To the machine, this isn't art. It is just an itemized bill of keywords for sale.
And let's just zoom in here. The word cloud is one of the priciest words in the whole poem, costing over £2. Why? Not because of Wordsworth's beautiful image of a fluffy cloud floating in the sky. No, it's because advertisers are bidding like crazy on the term cloud computing. The economic meaning completely obliterates the poetic one. This market logic just flattens everything.
So let's just pull this all together. We went from a shared TV culture that's now lost to a system that can literally put a price tag on a classic poem. We are, more and more, living inside this machine. This is the whole shift right here on one slide. We went from a world where value could be measured by 100 million people all sharing one cultural moment, to a world where value is measured as £24.14, the price an algorithm spits out for the individual words in a poem. From shared cultural value to granular economic value.
And that really brings us to the final question, the one to chew on. In a system that's getting smarter every single day at finding the market price for everything, our attention, our loyalty, our words, what's left? If our search terms are products and our poems have a price tag, what's the value of a thought that can't be sold?